Okay, so now we want to work on our zipper gusset. So we have our lining. It's all done with that facing out of the way. We're going to start with our exterior. Make sure you have your centers marked and that they're nice and even. I'm going to just double check my centers because that one looked a little bit off. And it was. Just a smidgen. Okay. As well as the centers on this are marked already. Okay. Now, to make it easier, you could do 2 zipper pulls, and then you're not going to have to worry about figuring out the direction later. But I only have one butterfly, one left, so I'm going with the one. On the back of the exterior piece, we're going to take some double-sided tape. You could use some glue too if you wanted to. Just if your machine is sensitive to double-sided tape, make sure you stay at least 1/8 of an inch away, so you won't gum up your needle with the top stitching. Coco says hi. Okay. And then what we want to do, I'm just going to take off one side. Doesn't matter which way it goes right now. We're going to just kind of stick it down, make sure it's nice and centered somewhat in the middle. So you want some overhang of your tape. Oops, let me flip this over. And just like we do with our zipper pocket overlays, you just want to kind of make it so the zipper is nice and straight and stick it down on that one side and nice and even with the same amount of tape showing all the way across. I'm sorry if you hear the car noise. I actually have my window open because we've got a glorious rain happening and airing my room out. It's just a nice breeze coming in, so. Okay. Move this down just a little bit. You can kind of finagle it. That's what's nice about the tape is you have a little more control. You can move it around. Okay. Once you get the top part where you want it to go ahead and take the tape backing off of the bottom and do the same on the bottom. Okay, so that's all in place nicely. Now what we want to do is the same with this one, and it's going to end up going on top wrong sides together like, nope, sorry. Yes, that's right, wrong sides together like so. So we're going to put some tape on the back of the facing here. Now this is the trickier part because we want this to line up best we can to catch both layers when we sew them together. And that's why I'm going to go around with 1/8 of an inch, and then I'll go around again with 1/8 of an inch away, or 1/4 of an inch, and then that'll ensure that this bottom has been, the lining part has been caught in this sandwich that we're making. This does show a little, so sometimes the stitching may be a little bit messy here, so matching thread may help. Okay, so I'm going to take it off. One side off here. Flip it up and over, and I'm going to match up that center there. Center mark with the center mark. Stick it down, and now what you're going to want to kind of feel for is where this edge is here, and you want to try to line it up best that you can. Now if you line this up, like make sure you're not too close to the zipper tape. But you want to be, we're going to want to sew and catch it all. So I'm just kind of feeling where my exterior is stuck down and trying to catch it around the same mark. So really take your time here. You want to make sure your lining's not going to catch along the zipper. And what this is doing is it's hiding all of the raw or the edges of the zipper tape so they're engulfed between the layers. Okay, I think that's good. Now you can go and do the opposite side. Once again, I'm going to kind of match up this center mark here, like so. You can see my exterior, I've cut it, my lining must have shrunk a little bit. That's okay because we're not going to be sewing these edges together, and you'll see what I mean when we get into the final construction. I think that's good. So then we're going to go around here with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance top stitch, and then again with a 1/4 of an inch, and that'll just ensure that this is caught all the way around. Okay, so let's hop on over to the machines. Just going to check my tension. Good. Okay, I'm also going to pull my threads along and tie them off in the back just to have a nice and seamless top stitch. You can back stitch too, that's fine. Thread to pull the top thread through. Make sure my needle goes down in that starting hole. Pull your threads long. Do you know what? I don't think I need to do another row of stitching because I caught it everywhere, this lining. I'll show you what I mean here in a moment. I'll show you at the table. One moment. My first one, I didn't catch it the first time all the way around, so I did 2 rows of stitching because that fixes that. But this time, it did perfection. Hey, just shows practice makes perfect. Okay. Okay, so this is what I mean. You can see how my stitching caught the lining everywhere. Now, if for some reason it didn't catch the lining and it missed in a few places, just go around with another top stitch at 1/4 inch and it'll catch it. Okay, so we can put that aside for now. Now we're going to start, what are we going to do? Assembling this baby. So we want the front. We want the one that has our front top panel and the one that will be on our front. I'm just going to double check the instructions here. Okay, we want to take the pocket. So we're looking at the one that has the nameplate on it. Take the pocket and push it out this way. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's just going to be pushed back in. We want to make sure we have our top and bottom centers marked on our exterior piece. Okay, so we have it, we're going to be putting it right sides together, and our nameplate's going to look like it's upside down. So this unsewn side here, you'll see we're going to sew that on, and then that's going to make it so it's a right side up, like so. So match up that center, right sides together. You'll see where this pointy part is on this one? It will go right up to the end there. See how it matches up perfectly? That is exactly what we want. And we may as well do the other one as well at the same time. So again, that pointy section should line up. Mine's off a little bit, but it'll be fine. Okay, so that's the front one. Let's go ahead and grab our back one as well and do the same thing. Make sure we're using putting it right sides together with the one that has the whatchamacallums, connectors on it. I don't have my center marked on my zipper, so I'm just going to go ahead and do my centers here. I'm going to do a small snip. Don't usually like to cut my zipper tape, but it'll be caught in the seam there, so that'll be okay. I did mark my bottom of this one. Okay, so again, we have that pushed through. This side here, our connectors on this part, right sides together. Clip along there. That pointy part should line up somewhat. It does. It does. It does. It's a this feels a little awkward because we are sewing on a loop, but we're not doing the whole thing, so that's okay. Oh, and I don't know if this is what I showed you or not, about cutting the foam away from this pocket and bringing it through just to give the pocket a little more cushioning, and then I just have a piece of double-sided tape to kind of hold the pocket in place. Can't remember if I talked about that. I'm pretty sure I did though. Okay. Okay, and now we're going to sew, and it's going to feel weird. We're just going to sew from this side here across with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on both. Okay, so we are going to change into a zipper foot because we need to get nice and close to the hardware. Otherwise, you will be running over your hardware, or use a narrow foot of some sort if you can. Otherwise, you're going to need your hump jumper to get over that. So really, a right zipper foot is the best bet here. Plus, we are sewing a side that has a zipper on it, so this will help get nice and close to that as well. Okay. 3/8. So I'm going to sew from the inside here, starting at that pointy side. So you can see the hardware's right there, so this will make it so you can get nice and close to that. The zipper one? I think I'm doing the zipper side. I'm starting hard first, right off the hop. This is the one with the zipper. And just kind of move it around so it lines up still. So because this one is the zipper, I'm going to check right away to make sure my zipper is nice and straight, make sure I don't have to go back in. So if you flip it up, my zipper looks good. So set that aside and do the other one, and then we will top stitch those. Okay. Now while we're at the machine, we're going to top stitch this at the same time. So you want to flip this over. You want the, and it feels awkward, I won't lie. We want the seam that we just sewn to be pointing to the top because we are going to top stitch through this top vinyl part. So you want to be very aware of where it is as you go to top stitch that across. So take it slow. My Decovil Heavy's in the way because I didn't center it on enough, so it's fighting it a little bit, but I'll be fine. Use your sense of touch. And we're just top stitching where we just sewn. So just going to put my hand under and go bit by bit and top stitch bit by bit. feeling where my seam is and pushing it where it needs to go. If you've used cotton, you can definitely press it. Now this is where the zipper foot is good, because see how close I'm coming to that connector. I didn't finish my train of thought there, did I? Okay. And again, just right to that end. Like so. Same with the other one.
Shuffling the other side and
Oh no, Alexa,
on
off.
Amazon Music.
Alexa, off. My goodness, I didn't even tell her to turn on. That was very bizarre. Okay. Why are you fighting me? There we go. Your pocket's going the right way. I almost sewed through it, which would have been really bad. Make sure the pocket's going down towards the bottom. My tape unstuck. And this one's very important that the seam is going the right way, because otherwise it's going to kind of get in the way of the zipper tape there. Alright, that part is done. We can go ahead and switch back into our other foot here too. And try our regular foot. Okay. Looks good. I know it's bizarre, isn't it? This one's a little bit off, but I think that was more probably my cutting, but it's okay. It'll get fixed as we go. So zipper still works, which is good. Okay, so got our bottoms, we got our centers on the sides and these centers here. We're going to go ahead and put this right sides together with our exterior, matching up that center. We're getting close. Oops. And then we're going to go ahead and sew across here with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance And then we will top stitch it at the machine as well as attach the opposite side. All right. Oopsies, the chair's stuck. So standard foot on helps have a little more control. Okay, and to top stitch this, we want to push the seam towards the base piece. So towards the base, and top stitch through the base. Again, because of the foam and everything, it wants to fight it, so just kind of feel and press, go bit by bit. Make sure it's not on this side. Like that, and we're going to go ahead and do the same with the back side, right sides together. Just do it all at the machine. This way. Make sure my pocket's not going to get in the way. Once again, top stitch. With it going towards the base piece. My seam is wanting to fight me, so I'm just going to make sure it's going where I need it to. All right. Okay, so this is what we have so far. You can go ahead and you can stuff your pockets back through. See our zippers. This is how it's going to end up going, like so. Our zippers are still closing to the same side. Kind of gives you an idea what the exterior is going to look like. So go ahead, set that aside for now, and then let's work on our lining pieces. So these are going to go together in pretty much the same fashion, except for the side that I have my slip pocket on. I'm going to leave an opening in the bottom for turning. And remember, we also have our opening in our zipper pocket for closing that up later. So let's do this one first. Let's find our 4 centers of our base piece. I've already found my centers of my lining pieces. And also the short sides. So we're going to put this right sides together. Now this is the one we're only going to sew like an inch in or so, like to there. Same with on this side. We want to leave a nice big opening for turning because this is going to be, it's a fun turn. Just put a clip in the middle and clip at the end. I'm not going to worry about top stitching the seams or anything in the lining because it's a lining, but we're going to go start here to here, break our thread, and come over to the other side. And that the machine will go ahead and sew on the opposite side, but we'll be going all the way across for that one. Oops, change my stitch length. Okay, and I am going to just backstitch quite a few times just to make sure that that's nice and secure, because it may want to rip when we go to turn it. Hopping over to the opposite side. Backstitch a couple times. So we have that opening in the bottom now. And so the opposite side, 1, 2, but we'll go all the way across this one. Oops, sorry, that was a big loud sound. Okay. Okay, take deep breaths. This is the cumbersome part. It's not hard. It's just seems like it's a lot, but it's totally worth it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to take these pieces here and we want to kind of flip this up and over. So this is going to be inside, like so. See, kind of inside out. Make sure your tails are down here. We don't want to be sewing through those by accident. Same with on this side. Again, you're going to kind of just flip it up. And almost like you're putting this thing inside out like so. And what that we're trying to do is just get this side, the unsewn side, to be accessible, okay? Okay, so our gusset piece, we're gonna have to make sure our linings and our exteriors stay separate from each other. So I'm just going to, on these ends, just kind of keep my lining up and out of the way. And then I'm just going to have to be very aware in here that I am not going to be sewing this into my exterior seams. Okay. I have my zipper open. It's closing this way. So I want to look to see where my zipper is closing on these and make sure I have it facing the same way. So my zipper closes this way on these pieces. So I want to make sure, like it's open right now, but it does close down towards here. So I have my front piece to the left, my back piece to the right, and I have my zipper closing down towards me. Okay, so we have our centers marked here. We're going to flip this upside down. That's where I was saying if you have a double zip pull on there, then you're not going to have to worry about figuring out which way to put the zipper. We're going to match up the curvy part center and our bottom center. I'm going to be using 1,000,001 clips. You definitely don't want this to move as you're sewing, so don't be scared of the clips. So I put 3 clips in there. I'm going to do the same on the opposite curvy side, like so. You see what I'm doing here? Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to take the center of the gusset, make sure our lining is pulled down and out of the way. We are only attaching our gusset. If you catch the facing, that's fine. We're going to match it up with this center here. Put in some clips. So the center of that back piece of our zipper pocket. Okay, same with the opposite side. Make sure your lining is out of the way. Be very aware when you're sewing that we're not going to be sewing through this lining piece. Match it up with this raw edge center here. And then we're going to just clip all the way evenly between those quarter sections. And again, I recommend using 1,000,000 clips. Sure the lining is kind of out of the way there. Now this is where I said that I'm a little bit off here. I'm just going to trim that off, that excess. That's just my cutting was a little bit off there. So we'll just make it match. My lining piece, get out of the way. I can already tell from the tutorial bag to this one that I definitely do prefer fleece on the gusset piece over the foam. It's a lot easier to work with. A little less fighting. It should fit around those curves nicely. And look at that, perfection. If you have excess because it was cut bad, just trim a little off. It'll be fine. Of the gusset, not of the exterior, but it should fit in there nicely like this. start at the top and work my way down the other side. I like to work from the top down to the curve in between the marks. I've got my clips going the wrong way here. Let me just flip them around. Again, very important that the lining stays free and clear because we're going to be sewing the lining panels on in this exact same way. Goes around this corner good. Looks like we're going to be good. Yeah, we are. Oh, maybe a little bit too much. We'll see. Oops, we slipped. Nope, we're going to fit good. A little bit, so you can see here, see what that's what I mean, how there's a little bit excess in that roundabout. I'm just going to trim it off. That's probably more to my cutting than anything, so I'm just going to make it fit. I'm like barely taking anything off, like 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so you can see we got one side all clipped. Now we got to do the opposite side. Make sure your zippers, I'm just going to push my zippers into the pouches so they're out of the way. Again, making sure your lining is out of the way and we're not clipping it in there by accident. It's a very, very unique construction, that's for sure. This is a good way. You can construct a bag like this, say that's a zipper top drop-in lining, and you don't like doing drop-in linings like I do. Like I do not like doing zipper top drop-in linings. You can modify it and do it this exact same way we're doing this, and it gets the same effect. So it feels a little bit cumbersome, but it is worth it. Looks like I cut my curve too wide on this one. I cut this too, so I'm going to trim it up a little bit. See, it's just a little bit off. There we go, perfect. Part was a little bit big there. Fixed. Starts feeling really stiff with all those clips in it. Now, before this next step, you will want to make sure you have a fairly full bobbin, because you don't want to soil this and then run out of bobbin, trust me. I already know mine is fairly full, so I should be okay. Okay, and I fit around this corner perfectly. Awesome. Okay, so this is what that looks like, you guys. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew all the way around there without sewing the lining panels with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so when I did this the first time, I found it easiest to start at a curvy side. I am going to just check my bobbin thread just to make sure. Oh yeah, I have a full bobbin. We're good. Okay, so we're going to start at the bottom of one bottom of the gusset, one of the curvy sections, and we're going to have a lot of adjusting as we go. You know, squish it out of the way. You want to make sure everything is feeling flat. I have the main panels flat, and I'm working with the gusset side up. Just kind of take it clip by clip, putting your needle down and adjusting as you go and making sure that you have no puckers as you go. So use your sense of touch a lot to make sure everything feels nice and flat. Nothing is slipping too badly. It slips a little, that's okay, as long as it's catching it all. Like I can see here, see I slipped there? I'm just going to trim that off. It's not going to be a big deal. Okay. Everything's lined up. Again now, making sure that lining is being held out of the way. Make sure your needle is down before you adjust. Just straighten out section by section. Holding it out of the way. I don't really care if I catch the spacing in there, that'll be fine. I'm kind of going under the facing. I could have trimmed that facing out of the way, but I was obviously lazy. Well, I see something happened with one of my stitches there for some reason, so I'm going to just go in. See, it didn't catch it. Something happened. So I'm just going to go back. I think I pulled it. I didn't have my needle down properly. There we go. All fixed. Again, make sure you're only sewing through what you need to be sewing through. I always do the exterior first because this does matter that it's all good. The lining, if we're not super accurate, nobody will know but us. So So do the hard stuff first, and then the stuff that if we make small mistakes, it's not going to matter, next. Down. Getting down to the hard part, which is the corners. That's where it always slips on me if it's going to slip. Just take it slow. I'm just making sure everything's nice and smooth on my exterior so I have no puckers. So I kind of just feel it with my fingers. Down when I adjust this. You can see I'm slipping just a little bit on that corner. I may have to go back in and fix that. We will see how it looks. See what I mean? So much. I slipped a lot there, but that's okay. It's all catching. I'm gonna have to just trim that off. I'm not gonna stress about it. If you don't mind doing staples, that might help with the slipping of those corners, but it's just that rounded edge there. But I think I'll just end up, we'll make sure I caught it. I might have to go back in and fix it. We'll see. Lost my clips. Okay. So yes, once again, these corners, bottom corners, are the hardest part, I think, in my opinion. As you can see, I'm not perfect. So don't beat yourself up if yours aren't perfect either. Nobody will know but us. So I'm probably just going to trim those out. If everything's caught, I'm going to turn this right side out and I'm going to see if it looks good, and if so, then I'm just going to make it what I need it to be. Almost done that rounded part. Yay. Whew. I'm sweating. Am I at 3/8? Yes, I am. Okay. Definitely the fleece was a good idea when using vinyl on this part. So much better than it was with the other bag. It turned out great with the other bag, but this part was hard, and it's not as hard with fleece. Okay, I'm gonna make sure everything is down and out so I don't accidentally sew through a pocket or anything. Not necessarily hard except for those curvy parts are a little bit challenging. It's just more cumbersome than anything. And just being aware of those lining pieces. And that everything is lining up. Look at all those slips. That's funny. And I apologize, you guys. I am not showing my face because, to be real, I have my hair in a messy bun. I don't have any makeup on, and I am totally in my pajamas right now. So I'm showing you what you need to see. My face isn't going to teach you how to bag or how to make a bag. So I just wanted to get this done, and I really appreciate everybody's understanding how I had to record. We couldn't do this on a Thursday for the class because I lost power. So I just want to get this done so everybody has it. And with new bag classes starting in a couple days, it was just too hard to find the time to schedule everybody in. So just easier for me to record, me finishing these things and teaching it as I go. But again, I am in my pajamas, so I'm pretty sure you've seen my messy bun from the top views at the table. But yeah, that's me today. It is Sunday. It is the long weekend in September. And this is how I am going to roll today. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Almost there. Again, watch those corners. The hardest part is those corners. If anybody has tips or tricks on how to do corners. I know how to do rounded bottoms really good. I've got a trick for that, but in this kind of construction, not so much. Ooh, that was almost my finger I sewed. Okay, come to the end. So I'm just going to make sure everything was caught all the way around. So right here, you can see this is where I slipped a little bit, but I was caught okay here. I'm probably just going to trim it back. Same with there. See, my corner slipped a little bit, but we'll check those all out. Ooh, this one at big time slipped a little bit. We will make sure everything was caught there, and we will see how that looks and decide if I have to go back in and fix that. So yes, those corners are the hardest part. They slipped. Now, yeah, it's all good. I think it's going to be fine. We will take a look and see. Okay. Okay, the moment of truth to see how those corners are. What I'm going to do, because it is an easy turn out this way right now, is I'm just going to turn the exterior out because I want to make sure those corners look okay. See if I need to go fix anything or if we will be fine. See, it turns out really easy. Okay. So there's one corner. Well, I got a little bit of a pucker there, but it's on the back side and I don't really think it's noticeable, so I'm going to leave that. I think that looks okay. You can actually, let's check out this corner. It's only these bottom corners I'm worried about. And this one I can see I'm not as rounded, I'm more flat, but do you know what? It looks okay. I'm going to leave it. Everything was caught. I'm just going to double check and go around all of these seams. Kind of check in those ones, make sure everything was caught. Decide if you have to go in with another round of stitching. She looks pretty good actually. Even with those corners going wide, I think they look okay. I think it'll be fine. So turn it right back inside out again. I'm going to trim up that excess on those corners for where I slipped. But as you can see, you can't really even tell. It's okay. I'm not going to go in and fix that. Everything was caught. That's all that matters. So yeah, see how I slipped there? Now I did it. This is where I did, this is the one where I look like I'm a little bit more flat, and it's because I slipped that much. But do you know what? I'm not going to undo it. I'm just going to trim it off because it doesn't look bad from the other side at all. So we are good. Now, guess what we're going to do? We are going to how did she say to do this? Let me double check. Okay, you want to squish all the exterior inside because we are going to do the lining gusset in the exact same way. Okay, so again, we have this piece here with our opening. We want to make sure it's situated properly, so I like my slip pocket to be attached to the front of the bag. So here's my front here. So I'm going to make sure I'm putting this right sides together with this front side here. All right. And we're only going to be matching up. I feel like there was an easier way of doing this. Let me just double check. Nope, we just got to kind of do it. So again, we're only sewing the linings together. You got to make sure you're not going to attach the gussets right now, or the exteriors, wrong word. And we're going to do this in the exact same fashion that we did the exterior. This one I'm not as picky with because if you go off a little bit, as long as everything is caught, you will be fine. Okay. The bottom. Let's go ahead and just clip the other top first, just so we know we have it all good, and then we will do this, doing a little different than the exterior, I guess. That's okay. It is like magic though. It's really kind of cool. Okay, so we got our bottom center and our gusset curvy center. I'm going to use a million clips again. Opposite side. This feels a little more cumbersome just because we already have one side already sewn. We're going to do a lot of squishing. Okay, and then start working those around and squishing the exterior out of the way and only working with the lining pieces. You want to make sure your zipper's down and out of the way too. You don't want to accidentally sew through that. So here's my exterior seam and there's my lining seam. And we will be doing some magic with these two seams later, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm getting ahead of myself. Squish that exterior out of the way. I used waterproof canvas for my first one. It is definitely a lot easier with cotton. It was so slippery with that waterproof canvas that these were all slipping everywhere, especially when I was sewing. Oh my gosh, made me want to cry. So I'm glad I went with cotton for this one. I'm just going to press my seam to one side for my bottom piece. Not too worried about that. See, I even have a few puckers in here, right in the corners. I'm not going to worry about that because you're not going to see them. Down the opposite side. Zippers out of the way. Definitely don't want this accidentally being up like that, so definitely make sure it's poked in the zipper. Lots of clips, lots and lots and lots of clips. Holy cow, the street is so busy. It is smoky outside today. We had a few days of rain and the smoke was gone, but it smells like a campfire out there again. I have my window closed again, but you can still hear everything out there. It's a busy street today. Okay, so that's one side done. So this does look like a hot mess, and it should. This is exactly how it should look. This is the part that definitely takes the most time. You guys hear the helicopters going overhead. That is the helicopters that fill a bucket full of water. We have the water bombers going overhead right now. I'm seriously like 4 blocks from the airport. I'm super close. And I'm right by the river as well, so that's where they're filling everything up. So it's noisy. I apologize. But we're on fire right now, so it is what it is. Okay. Other side. Now this is a harder one. If you turn it out and you have a mistake, this is a harder one to pick apart. That's why I like to turn the exterior out like we did to make sure everything looked good. I probably should have checked the zipper to make sure it was going the right way, but I'm 95% sure it is. If not, it's not the end of the world. I really wanted to do double zipper pulls so I wouldn't have to worry about that, because I'm terrible at figuring out which way the zippers need to be facing. But I didn't have any more of those zipper pulls. So. All right. See, a little bit big there. I'm going to just trim it. Make it fit. Okay. So this is what that looks like. So we got the lining all clipped to the one side, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to sew it exactly like we did with the exterior, pushing the exterior out of the way. It is a little more cumbersome just because the exterior is so puffy, but we'll take it slow and we can do it. Here we go, here we go. So again, I'm going to start at the bottom of one of the curvy gusset areas. And so I'm not going to be as picky with this. I'm going to squish my exterior out of the way as much as possible. Make sure you're only sewing through the lining pieces. Don't be afraid to squish the bag. Oops, I'm going to break a clip there if I do that. Okay, here we go. Said this I'm not as picky with just because I'm not going to stress so much, because if there are the odd puckers, like I'm going to have one right there, it's not going to be able to be seen. At this point, I just want to get her done. This part is a lot easier to sew than the exterior part. Just make sure that exterior is up and out of the way. And when you get to the zipper panel, just kind of feel along here just to make sure the zipper isn't poking up. So, okay, come on, there we go. I have to loosen these a little bit. Tension looks a little off. Squishy. Make sure needle's down. Really need to get that needle positioner installed on my machine. I've had it for months and I still don't have it on. Dave's gonna do it for me. I'm not very mechanical like that. My fault because I'm always working on his days off. See, squish the bag. Don't be scared to squish the exterior completely out of the way like I've done here. And once again, this is so much easier. Oopsies. Make sure I'm slipping a little bit there. Make sure I'm taking that wide so I catch everything. Much easier with cotton than waterproof canvas. Then again, I'm not very experienced with waterproof canvas. I've always preferred cottons for my linings. I like the prints and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like using them as well, but I have more experience with cotton linings. More practice. Okay. Just make sure I move this down. And I have another pucker right there, but that's okay. holding the exterior up and out of the way so I can get a nice and flat. Oh, look what I'm almost doing there. See what I did there? I'm going to lift this up. I have to pick some stuff out. Look at that. See what I did? So I'm just going to pick up the stitches a little bit here. It wasn't laying flat. And I caught more of the lining than I needed to in that stitch. I'm just going to pick it out. I was getting a little too cocky, I guess. So yeah, make sure your lining is laying nice and flat. See, I tucked some of it in. I didn't want to do that. Okay, let's just go and can that, oops, a little bit more. Easy fix. Ooh, my eyes are just burning from the fire out there today. Wow. Okay. Fixie, fixie. Yeah, that was huge. I like folded in like a good chunk of the lining there. So I didn't do that on the other side. No, the other side looks okay. So yeah, just kind of watch it as you go. If you're like me and you just did what I just did. Okay. Clear out some of these clips and then we will continue for the other half. Okay, so I'm going to go back and stitch over some of these stitches to lock these ones in again. There we go. And we're back in. I'm going to make sure it's lying nice and flat and not folding in. I had felt it right at this point. I'm like, why does it feel so bulky? Now we know. Again, better to make that mistake on the lining because those holes are not going to show. Like I had a good inch of the lining folded in there. Squishy, squishy. You out of the way. What are we doing here? There we go. Almost there. Last curvy part. End is near. Oh, I got another pucker. That's okay. There we go. Okay, let's go see how we did. Look at all these threads. My goodness, I'm a hot mess. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to go around our lining, make sure everything was caught. Make sure everything that we needed to be caught was caught. You can definitely go ahead and trim up some. Oh, look at this side, like went way off, but you can trim it up if you want to. I'm just going to trim up the areas where I slipped. Like here. I slipped huge there. That's okay. Just trim that up. Both sides was caught, so I'm okay with that. Take a look around. Make sure everything was caught all the way around. You can also reach in through the opening in the bottom and just feel around those seams. To make sure everything was caught. Mine looks good. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to make it so this lining is not going to be slipping into the bag. Like, so it's not droopy. So where we have our exterior seam here, so this is that first seam that we sewn that was just the exterior, and this is the lining. So this is all along the top part, where the zipper is. We're going to match up the centers of that exterior seam and the lining seam like so. And we are just going to tack those within the seam allowance. This will just make it so the lining doesn't droop in. Just from, like, I don't know, not very far. Just like right there. Actually, if you go kind of from this seam to this seam, that would probably be ideal. And we'll do the same on the opposite seam on this side. So find where your exterior seam and your lining seam are and clip their centers together. Pretty much from this seam to this seam. So we're not going to go over our seam allowance. We're going to go like within the seam allowance. So even just like a 1/4 of an inch in those marks. And that's just going to hold the lining and that exterior seam together so the lining doesn't fall in upon itself. It'll be nice and curvy and match the exterior. A really cool little trick to make sure that that doesn't fall in. I did the same thing when I changed my drop-in linings to this kind of finish. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. We're almost done, you guys. It's bad though, I haven't even done my handles yet, so I won't be putting those on today with you. That's okay. Okay, so again, just from like those seams there, make sure everything's tucked under. And we're just going within the seam allowance. We're not going over the seam allowance, and it's just to tack those in together. So like so. Doesn't have to be super straight as long as it's within the seam allowance. That's one side. See? Like that. Let's do the opposite side. Yay! Okay. Okay. So now we get the fun part of turning it out through the bottom. Try to get this bottom corners out first. It's actually not too bad to turn out. If you leave a big enough opening. Oopsies, you're tearing up my lining, but that's just, I probably should have tapped it a little more. So see, it's not too bad. those. There we go. See, not too bad. Smash out all those seams. See, my seam, it's not bad at all. Not bad. I said it goes a little straighter there, but it's really not bad at all. See, this one's pretty good too. Push the lining in. Okay. And I have my zipper going the right way. Awesomeness. So I still have to install my zipper and my zipper pulls and my zipper ends on these ones, and I will trim these up, but I will do that later on, and as well as put the handles on. I still have to make my handles because I'm a bad teacher. She looks good so far. Look at that. See, and you can see I was not perfect by any means with my sewing, and it still looks really good. Okay, now we can seal this up. So I just love how the zipper comes so far down. So once you got everything kind of massaged into place how you want it, now we can go ahead and close up the bottom of this lining. So just like we do in all the other bags, you're going to pull that zipper pocket out with the opening in the bottom. You're going to reach in and grab the opening in the bottom of the lining and pull it through that pocket. This was hard with waterproof canvas, I found. It's not hard with this. Not at all. Okay, match up that center. Home stretch. This bag makes you feel really accomplished once it's done though. It's a lot of bag, but it's an amazing bag. I will be making these forever, I think. They're amazing. I'm hoping these two will sell at market. I think they will. They're so unique. Okay, so let's go and sew across that with the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and we'll also close up the zipper pocket at the machine. All right. Okay. Squishy, squishy. Squish everything out of the way. Start where your stitching had stopped. Okay, so that's the bottom closed up. Push that back in through the pocket and double check that everything was caught and it is all closed up, which mine is. And then take your pocket, make sure your raw edges are folded under, and then we will top stitch that shut with an 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch-ish seam allowance. I always tell when I'm almost done because I just like get so fast at doing the last part. It's like home stretch, home stretch. second. Okay. Okay. Get that pocket to lay flat. So now, so that's what the lining looks like. Such a great bag. So all that's left to do now is to rivet on the handles like this one. Put on your zipper pulls and then your zipper ends. And I found this was a really nice length for the zipper ends. Let me measure them for you to trim them up so they're not hanging too much. About 2.5 inches, and then I put the zipper ends on them. About 2.5 inches overhang, and I think that just looks super sharp. So that is all that's left to do, and I will do the rest off camera. But yeah, see, even my ends where I kind of messed up, they look pretty good still. Very, very happy with it. I hope you guys all love the Cassia Satchel. Again, sorry I'm not showing you my face, but it's makeupless today. And thank you all. Cassia class was so much fun. I appreciate you all, and I will see you next month for the next classes.